I successfully stole the male lead, and even forced the female lead to leave the country. I still remember the day she left. Tears in her eyes. Martin, I don't want you anymore. The next moment, the male lead held a diamond ring in his hand, dropped to one knee with deep affection. Grace, let's get engaged. I thought that once I pushed the female lead out, I could finally relax. But after 3 years of engagement, neither of us stepped into marriage. In the 4th year, the female lead came back, and that very day, my fiancé, the male lead, didn't come home for the first time all night. And me? I turned around and cheated. Chapter 1. I sent a message to the contact saved as 18 centimeters. Lean muscle, slim waist. My place. Come over. 3 seconds later. How many times has it been? Grace? You call me every time you drink. I'm your ex-boyfriend, not your free gigolo. I opened my pinned chat. Martin's last message was from an hour ago. Urgent matter at the company. Won't be back tonight. At least make your lies sound believable. I knew exactly who he went to see, his ex. My former best friend, who had just returned to the country today. I tossed my phone onto the couch and collapsed back, staring at the ceiling. 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and Lorenzo's unpleasant face barged into view, brows furrowed, sharp eyes filled with impatience. What? Your fiancé can't satisfy you anymore? He sneered, standing at the doorway like a wildcat waiting to be coaxed. I laughed, hooked my finger around his tie, and yanked him inside. Then I sealed all his remaining words with my lips. His breathing instantly grew heavy, his arm clamped around my waist like iron, turning the tables and pinning me against the entryway, kissing me fiercely and urgently. When the kiss ended, I leaned against his chest, catching my breath. My voice carried a drunken softness and grievance. He's not coming back tonight. Letitia is back. The arm around my waist suddenly stiffened. Oh, I almost forgot, this man also had a woman hidden in his heart. Is this some kind of standard male lead template? So, are you breaking up or not? He bit my earlobe, his tone ruthless. After all, we broke up because of her in the first place. No, I shook my head, with a kind of naive cruelty. He's someone I fought so hard to steal. He fell silent for a few seconds, then suddenly let out a low laugh. There was desire in his eyes, but also pity. Grace, you really are shameless. I said nothing. Something you steal, how could you ever return it? Even if it was never yours to begin with. Chapter 2. My name is Grace. In our circle, the opinions about me are always the same: gold digger, pretentious coquette, shameless. I don't argue. After all, I did waste 4 whole years of my youth on my best friend's boyfriend. Martin, campus heartthrob and student council president, cold, aloof, and untouchable. I fell for him on the very first day of freshman year. I threw countless flirtatious glances his way, but he ignored every single one, and instead turned around and held my roommate Letitia's hand. If this world were one big sweet romance novel, then Letitia would be the female lead. Pure, a little clueless, harmless, yet she quietly plucked that unattainable high mountain flower. And me? I became proof of the male lead's charm. Look, even Grace, the campus beauty, chased Martin so desperately, and he still wouldn't spare her a glance. Sigh. No need to go on. Martin's love was something to show off, expensive gifts. One after another, Letitia's lifestyle visibly grew more luxurious. She casually gifted me a full set of high-end skincare she couldn't even finish. That hit me, a gold digger, right where it hurt. The first luxury skincare set of my life came from my romantic rival's charity. When you take something from someone, it's hard to stay indifferent. While the other roommates admired and blessed their love, all I felt was resentment and jealousy. I looked into the mirror. Same face, bright, bold, everything in place. And then it clicked. So I'm cast as the villainous supporting character. Huh? Fine. Then I'll do just one thing. Steal Martin. Chapter 3. Letitia treated me as her best friend. She even dragged me along on her dates. I didn't know if she was just that clueless, or overly confident in Martin, or maybe she was doing it on purpose. I couldn't help but speculate in darker ways. The first time Letitia brought me along as the third wheel, I put on a full face of makeup, wore a cropped camisole, and sprayed on my newest perfume. In short, I tried way too hard. But the moment we arrived, I was stunned. It was a spicy hot pot place. Letitia smiled and introduced me to Martin. This is my best friend Grace, my roommate. What do you think? Pretty, right? When Martin realized it was me, he narrowed his eyes. I greeted him with a bright smile. Senior Martin, I've heard a lot about you. He tugged at the corner of his lips, barely a response. The steam was melting my makeup, and the chilly fumes made me cough nonstop. Letitia went to the restroom. I sat there, huffing over the red oil broth, grabbed my cup, and chugged water. My nose started running immediately. Bang! A dull sound startled me so badly that the vermicelli slipped from my chopsticks. I looked up. Martin was holding a cup, the rim stained with lipstick, staring at me like I was something disgusting. Grace, don't tell me that was an accident. I lowered my head. My own cup was right by my hand, also with a lipstick mark. It really was an accident, I said, raising my hand as if swearing an oath. I've seen plenty of pretentious coquettes like you. He sneered, getting close to Letitia. What's your goal? You know it yourself. Prejudice in people's hearts is like a mountain. And toward me, his prejudice was an endless mountain range. You're getting worked up again. I rolled my eyes in exasperation. My contact lens nearly slipping out. My makeup's ruined. My hair's a mess, looking like this. What mood would I have to seduce you? He choked for a second, his gaze sweeping over my sweat-damp collarbone before quickly looking away. Then what's with this over-the-top outfit if not to seduce someone? Of course it is. Do you like it? I tugged at my strap, completely unapologetic. I wore it for you. Ever heard the saying, women dress to please those they like? I shamelessly threw him a flirtatious look. His face flushed visibly, out of anger. So angry that he smashed the cup in his hand. You're trying to seduce your best friend's boyfriend. Are you insane? He ground out through clenched teeth, word by word. That's fucking disgusting. It wasn't just the cup that shattered. So did my sense of shame, because seeing him like that, disgusted yet completely unable to deal with me, was thrilling. You're right. I can be even more disgusting. I sniffed, wiped my mouth, stood up, grabbed his collar, and pulled him down. Then I kissed him. 1 second, 2 seconds. His eyes widened, and he shoved me away. The force made me stagger back. I rubbed my mouth hard with the back of my hand, as if trying to scrape off a layer of skin. Get away from me! He looked like he was about to throw up, cold sweat breaking out. Grace, are you insane? Don't push me to hit a woman. Relax, I said with a grin. Letitia's about to come back. You don't want your girlfriend to find out, do you? He glared at me coldly, his face as red as the hot pot broth. Letitia returned and asked with concern, Martin, why are your lips so red? Martin immediately grabbed her and left without a word. I sat back down and slowly finished the rest of the tripe. After that, Martin went from ignoring me to outright despising me. If we crossed paths in the hallway, he would take a detour. At student council meetings, he reassigned me to the most marginal department. The next time we ran into each other, he finally couldn't hold it in. I never thought you'd be this shameless. Say a few more insults, it feels kind of nice, I said, stepping closer, even reaching out to grab his hand. He jumped back instantly, a mix of disgust and shock on his face, probably because hitting someone only to have them act clingy in return. When it came to me, he was completely out of options. Chapter 4. The first time I entered Martin's social circle, it was Letitia who brought me along. She said Martin was going to introduce her to his friends, and she was nervous, insisted I come with her for moral support. I didn't refuse, as long as Martin was there. The moment we pushed open the private room door, the noise fell silent for a split second. Letitia and I walked in one after the other. Somehow, she lagged half a step behind me at the entrance. So all the astonished, curious gazes landed on me at once. Is that sister-in-law? Welcome. Welcome. So this is her in person. Martin kept her hidden well. Someone blurted out eagerly, raising a glass. I froze. The next second, Letitia peeked out from behind me, wearing that familiar, harmless smile. I immediately stepped aside and said, just loud enough. Your sister-in-law is over here. The main character always makes a grand entrance. All the attention shifted instantly. Letitia lowered her eyes shyly, looking flustered. Martin, sitting in the center of the sofa, looked up the moment he saw me. His brows furrowed tightly until his gaze moved past me and landed on the person behind me. Letitia, come here. Like a bird returning to its nest, Letitia rushed into his arms, holding her. Martin introduced her to his friends in a tone I had never heard before, gentle, soft. As for me, not a single word. Letitia leaned against him, cheeks flushed, as if she had completely forgotten I existed. I was left standing there. A friend of sister-in-law? Come join us, someone said, offering both a drink and a way out of the awkwardness. Sure, I smiled, took it, and sat down, but my ears caught the hushed conversation coming from the sofa. Martin's voice carried undisguised annoyance. Why did you bring her too? Letitia mumbled softly. Grace wants to date too. I thought your friends must all be outstanding. Heh, Martin sneered, his tone dripping with disdain. In her dreams, no one in my circle would ever go for a scheming girl like her. Then his tone softened into indulgent affection. He lightly tapped Letitia's nose. My silly Letitia, stay away from Grace. You're too pure, you can't see her dirty intentions. She's always trying to outshine you. Just now, Grace isn't like that, Letitia murmured in defense. Martin didn't continue. He pulled her closer, then suddenly looked up, as if sensing something. I had been staring at them, listening with great interest, and just like that, our eyes met. There was no panic from being caught. Instead, my gaze flickered, my eyes carrying a teasing hook as I boldly flirted with him. He looked away in disgust. I withdrew my gaze and raised my glass. I never bothered to hide how despicable I could be. Chapter 5. A group of us started playing the King's Game. At first, everyone kept it relatively tame out of consideration for the innocent Letitia, until a guy sitting next to me suddenly shouted, "Aw, I got the king." He scanned the room with a mischievous grin. How can a late-night game be without some excitement? Number 3 and number 9. I order you to use matching couple profile pictures for 3 days. Oh ho. Immediately, teasing whistles filled the room. I glanced at my card. Number 3. Number 3 right here, I said, raising my poker card with interest. Where's my fated partner? A few seconds of silence. I'm number 9. Martin tossed his card down and spoke calmly. Well, that was awkward. Everyone looked at each other. The most uncomfortable situation had just happened. Letitia bit her lip. She had just changed to a carefully chosen couple profile picture with Martin today. I'll take the penalty, Martin said decisively, picking up his glass. Letitia stopped him. It's okay, Martin, if it's you and Grace. I don't mind at all. So generous. Sister-in-law, someone immediately praised. Martin said nothing. He drank 3 full glasses in a row without sparing me a single glance. The crowd instantly started cheering. Martin, the ultimate devoted good man. Letitia's worried expression turned into sweetness, and I just kept staring at him. When he rejected me, I didn't feel hurt. Instead, my mind filled with excitement. The more principled he was, the more I wanted to ruin him. When it was my turn again, number 7 and number 10 named the sexiest part of each other. I'm number 7, a lazy voice rang out. I followed the sound. A man lounged in the corner of the sofa. I had noticed him earlier. His looks were on par with Martin's, but his aura was completely different. Like a half-awake leopard, laziness wrapped around something dangerous. Lorenzo. Later, I found out he was Martin's cousin. His gaze landed on me and slowly traveled over my body. This beautiful lady, every part of her is sexy. He paused. But the sexiest has to be the mole on the tip of your nose. His eyes suddenly turned a little distant. The whole room fell into a subtle silence. I understood. There was a grave in his heart, burying someone he could never forget. That mole was more captivating to him than my entire figure. I felt a bit unconvinced. Who was he thinking of when he looked at me? Was my face not striking enough to overwhelm his senses and occupy his mind? I felt a sting of frustration. I raised my hand and shyly covered my face, just enough to hide that mole, leaving only my uniquely beautiful eyes and brows visible. With the way young Master Lorenzo is staring at me, I teased softly. I'd almost think you were falling in love with me. He snapped back to reality, his gaze refocused on my face, now carrying a hint more interest. Chapter 6. I stepped outside the private room to get some air. A middle-aged man, reeking of alcohol, blocked my way. Hey, pretty girl, have a drink with me? I tried to walk around him. He blocked me again. What? Not giving me face? I stopped, looked him up and down, and let out a scoff. How much money do you even have in your pocket? Why would I bother with you? You're this broke and still out here trying to feel important? He flew into a rage and raised his hand to hit me, but his wrist was caught midair. Lorenzo had appeared behind me at some point, his tone lazy. What do you think you're doing? The man immediately backed down. After cursing under his breath and taking a couple of steps away, he turned back and spat. This woman's just a gold digger. Bro, your taste is trash. Bet you picked up some second-hand goods. Lorenzo raised an eyebrow and looked at me. His gaze was meaningful. Clearly, he had seen that sharp-toned side of me just now. So much for pretending to be sweet. I raised my brows and gave up the act entirely. Bro, I'm touched. You really get me. Not only am I a gold digger, I'm also mean, lazy, and love living off others. I just enjoy reaping rewards without working. I gave a thumbs up, smiling brightly. So since you're not into money, how about you just give all yours to me? Actually, never mind. I wouldn't dare touch your dirty money. Might catch a disease. No parents. No upbringing. Who knows how you got it? Did you even use your nose for it? And with that face of yours, you'd only belong in the bizarre section of a website. Lorenzo froze for a second. Holy shit. He cursed right after. The drunk man turned red with rage and started spewing insults. I slipped behind Lorenzo smoothly, instantly switching to a weak, pitiful tone. Wah. Young Master Lorenzo. I'm so scared. That guy must be mentally unstable. What if he has rabies? Lorenzo laughed in exasperation. Miss, you're not even pretending anymore, are you? He made a call. Within 2 minutes, someone came and dragged the drunk man away. The hallway fell silent again. He looked at me. There was curiosity, amusement, and something else mixed in. Want to add each other on WeChat? Chapter 7. Grace, you useless piece of trash. Why did I spend money raising you and sending you to such a good university? So many rich second-generation heirs and you can't catch a single one? If I had a failure like you, I'd have jumped off a building already. The moment I picked up the call, my mother started screaming on the other end. Then jump. I shot back instantly. If you're so capable, why were you kicked out by the legal wife back then and ended up marrying my useless dad? We weren't like mother and daughter, we were more like enemies. Every word we said stabbed right into each other's weak points. When I was born, she wanted to strangle me to death. It was my cheap excuse of a father who stopped her and saved my life. Growing up, she either beat me or cursed at me. Most of my twisted personality came from her. Ever since I could support myself, I stopped tolerating her. I got tired of arguing. She did too, and her tone softened a little. Listen to your mom while you're still young. Get married, if not, at least have a child depending on the situation. I replied perfunctorily and hung up. After that gathering, Lorenzo started pursuing me relentlessly. He was generous. Transfers, designer bags, limited editions, he gave them like a flowing stream. I fully embraced my gold digger nature and made sure his money never came back. Martin couldn't stand it and frowned, reminding him, Grace is that kind of person. Lorenzo chuckled and finished his sentence. Two-faced. Money hungry, I know. Martin was silent for a few seconds. You're really that desperate. Lorenzo gave a bitter smile. You know, bro, my heart only has Maria. If it's not her, it doesn't matter who I date. Might as well pick someone interesting. Martin looked annoyed. Suit yourself. Just don't let her keep bothering me and Letitia. At a Sotheby's auction, Lorenzo bid on a pink diamond for me. That night, I agreed to be with him, and I pulled him into my bed. Afterward, he held me, his voice hoarse. Do you like my cousin? I'm crazy about him, I answered honestly. His brows lowered, displeased. You like him and still agreed to be with me? Why are you so shameless? I like you the most, I said, kissing him lightly, pressing his hand against my chest. Well, big enough? Fair enough? Do you like it? He swallowed hard. What I loved most was money. Lorenzo was my walking ATM, so of course I loved Lorenzo the most. Nothing wrong with that. According to the usual script, after getting what he wanted, he should have gotten bored quickly. After all, the moment I agreed to him, his expression had clearly dimmed for a second. Someone as shallow as me would never truly catch his interest. But after that night, he seemed addicted. Each time, more insatiable than the last. 3 months passed, and I was still benefiting. She's too wild. One day, I heard Lorenzo on the balcony, speaking in a low voice. You haven't seen what she's like in bed, makes people want to die right there. All right. I know you don't like hearing this. I'll stop. Not breaking up for now. He paused. Works out, I won't disturb you and my cousin's wife. I closed my eyes and continued pretending to sleep. Starting from my sophomore year, I began acting in short web dramas, always playing the vicious female supporting role. I once asked a director how to act it well. He told me to tone it down. Lorenzo dug up every terrible drama I'd ever acted in and turned them into his weekly Friday night entertainment. Watching and commenting as he went. On screen, I was grabbing the female lead by the hair and slapping her. My expression twisted. He laughed so hard he collapsed into the sofa, shoulders shaking. Is it that funny? I turned my head slowly and pinched his waist. He caught my wrist and pulled me into his arms in one motion, holding my face with both hands and squeezing my cheeks inward. Baby, give me a villain face, will you? With my lips squished out of shape, I mumbled, Lorenzo, I'll fuck your dad. My dad's old. He can't handle that. I can do it on his behalf. His eyes darkened. He lowered his head and kissed my puckered lips. Chapter 8. The next time I saw Martin and Letitia was on a yacht. Without me acting as the catalyst, their relationship seemed to have entered a dull phase. Letitia clung to his side, while his expression remained indifferent, no sign of warmth. I lounged on the deck in a sexy bikini, sipping juice leisurely, lifting my sunglasses slightly. I greeted them. Martin's gaze swept over me, paused for a second, then he immediately looked away. Instead, Letitia approached me on her own. Grace, I heard you're dating young Master Lorenzo? My right eyelid had been twitching all day, bad omen. I didn't want to stay around her, so I turned to leave. I hadn't taken a few steps when a splash came from behind. Ah, help! I turned around. Letitia was already flailing in the sea. Martin jumped in and pulled her out. In his arms, Letitia coughed weakly, tears shimmering in her eyes. Grace, I treated you as a friend. Why would you do this to me? Martin shot me a fierce glare. Huh? I was stunned. Wasn't this supposed to be our villainous move? Since when did the female lead start stealing my lines? In the blink of an eye, Martin was standing in front of me, radiating pressure. What are you? The next second, a sense of weightlessness hit me. He lifted me off the ground and walked toward the edge of the boat. What Letitia suffered, I'll make you repay 100-fold. His low voice exploded in my ear, sending chills through me. He was going to throw me into the sea? I can't swim. I'll die. I clung to his upper body desperately, arms wrapped tightly around his neck. No one is allowed to save her later. Martin frowned. His arms loosened. He tried to throw me, but couldn't. I clung to him like an octopus. 3 years of core training hadn't been for nothing. His face darkened as he tried to pry me off. Adrenaline surged through me. My strength spiked as I wrapped all 4 limbs around him, climbing him like a pole while shouting. I didn't push her. Whoever did gains 20 pounds. Not far away, Letitia flinched. Martin, restricted in his movements, gritted his teeth. Get down. You, MMPH. His words turned muffled, because I had already climbed onto his shoulders. The more he struggled, the tighter I held on. In that position, his face ended up pressed right against my chest. He froze instantly, body going rigid. Grace! Letitia screamed. Get down! Who allowed you to touch him? I was wearing a bikini, and he was bare-chested, skin pressed against skin. In the struggle, my hands had already wandered all over him. Martin let out an unsteady breath. What's all the noise? Can't even sleep in peace. Lorenzo walked out of the cabin, one hand running through his hair, eyes still drowsy. The moment I saw him, I immediately jumped off Martin, pushing him slightly, and rushed straight into Lorenzo's arms. From the corner of my eye, I saw Martin stagger, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. Wah. When you're not around, everyone bullies me. I sniffed, wiping fake tears as I buried myself in Lorenzo's embrace. Lorenzo instantly bristled with righteous anger. What? The whole world is bullying my girl while I'm gone? After hearing what happened, he spoke decisively. Bro, Grace might not have the best character, but her acting skills aren't good enough for this. There's no way she could fake something like that. Then he started citing examples. She acts way more exaggerated in her shows. If she were framing someone, it wouldn't look like this. She can't act this natural. I pinched him hard. Insult me if you want, but why attack my acting skills? He grabbed my hand in return and didn't let go. Letitia lowered her eyes, putting on a restrained expression. Young Master Lorenzo is biased toward his girlfriend, so I have nothing to say. But I can't swim. Why would I put myself in danger? Shut up. I snapped. I didn't push you. Say that again and I'll rip your mouth apart. The next second, I charged forward like a cannonball and slammed into Letitia. Both of us fell into the sea. The icy water swallowed me instantly. I couldn't swim. I clung tightly to Letitia, choking on a few mouthfuls of salty seawater. Letitia panicked, struggling wildly, kicking at me. My strength gave out. She kicked me away and swam back to the boat herself. Shaken but safe, I pointed at her, smiling weakly. See? You can swim after all. Glug glug. Lorenzo pulled my drenched, miserable self out of the water, both amused and exasperated. Wow, Grace, you could have just treated it like getting bitten by a dog. Did you really have to go this far? I coughed up water and snapped. To hell with that. Not only am I biting back, I'm biting twice. Letitia trembled, trying to hide in Martin's arms. Martin silently stepped aside. She froze for a moment, her face turning pale instantly. Chapter 9. The night at the guest house was quiet. I clung tightly to Lorenzo. When it came to this kind of thing, I never cared about keeping my voice down. The louder the waves outside, the louder my cries. And every time, it only made Lorenzo more excited. Like he was on something. The wooden walls had poor soundproofing, just one wall apart. Martin couldn't fall asleep. He was a conservative man. He had agreed with Letitia to save themselves for their wedding night, so they had always slept in separate rooms. The ambiguous sounds of breathing came in waves, as if someone were exhaling right beside his ear. Was this kind of thing really that pleasurable? He closed his eyes, forcing himself to empty his mind. But his thoughts were rebellious. The more he tried not to think about something, the clearer it became. The daytime scene flashed through his mind when she clung to him. Her soft, smooth skin, the yielding touch, the way she looked when she teared up in grievance. Then Lorenzo's words echoed. Grace is too wild, makes people want to die on her bed. Martin clenched his teeth and turned over irritably. He told himself it was just a normal physical reaction. He absolutely refused to admit that hearing Grace's voice was turning him on. Chapter 10. Lorenzo took me to a banquet, told me to wander around as I pleased. He was close with the host, then disappeared. Unreliable as ever. Just as I was getting bored, I spotted some familiar faces. Martin was chatting and laughing with a group of old money elites. Letitia stood beside him in haute couture, but even makeup couldn't hide her exhaustion. Martin was unusually cold toward her. That piqued my curiosity. What had gone wrong with this model couple? As I passed by the balcony, I heard an argument inside. I only caught Letitia crying out, "Why not? We're clearly lovers. Do you dislike me because I'm not as attractive as Grace? Those women who flaunt their looks. You need to calm down." Martin's voice sounded tired and helpless. Footsteps approached. Before I could hide, Martin stepped out onto the balcony and ran straight into me. His face was dark. As he passed me, he paused for a moment. Letitia rushed out right after him, panic written all over her face. When she saw me, she stopped and curled her lips into a mocking smile. "Grace, you must feel so proud. Your relationship is so perfect." Mine. Her voice softened. Sometimes I don't even know if he likes me. He's so outstanding. There are always shameless women throwing themselves at him. All right. All right. I rolled my eyes impatiently. We're not friends. Don't ramble to me again, or I'll slap you. I raised my hand as if to strike. She flinched instinctively, bit her lip, and left. The lounge door was locked. Who had such poor manners? Bang, bang, bang. I knocked on the door. Hey, who's inside? Help me grab my bag. I left my power bank in there. The door opened. A strong force yanked me inside. Martin's face was flushed red, his breathing heavy, sweat covering his temples. Something was very wrong. Well, isn't this young Master Martin? What happened, falling apart after just a moment apart? I teased. I instinctively pulled out my phone and snapped a few photos. Close-up shots from every angle. Martin sluggishly raised a hand to block his face. Don't do that. Listen to that. I was just protecting myself from being framed. For a moment, a mischievous thought crossed my mind. No, a kind one. Are you thirsty? I handed him half a bottle of water and even opened it for him. He took it and drank a few sips, then froze. It's so hot. What did you put in this water? An aphrodisiac. Maybe. I paused. Uncertain. Not me. It was probably already in there. I had just grabbed the bottle casually from a table. Martin stared at the familiar bottle in his hand. This was exactly what he had drunk earlier before things started going wrong. He collapsed to the ground, eyes reddening. You're so despicable. First day knowing me? I turned on the video recording function and pointed the camera at him. His pupils shrank sharply. Grace, give me 10 million, and I'll help you. I said bluntly, asking for an outrageous price. Is money all you care about? He snapped. 10 million and you still won't buy your own chastity? How stingy. I crouched down, studying him curiously. You really don't want to do anything to me? This didn't make sense. In novels, people drugged like this usually lost all rationality. How was he still so restrained around me? Martin said nothing. Then I'll leave? He gritted his teeth. Get out! I turned around without hesitation. 1 step, 2 steps. Wait. A weak voice came from behind. The corner of my lips curled up. But then I heard him say hoarsely, help me call someone I can trust. Don't tell Letitia. I clicked my tongue. Fine, I'll help you, but you owe me a favor. You'll have to help me in the future. Okay, Martin nodded with difficulty, likely forced by my camera. I sent a message to Lorenzo. Before leaving, a wicked thought crossed my mind. I stepped on little Martin and pressed down slightly. MMPH. Martin's whole body trembled, a muffled groan escaping his throat, his eyes going unfocused. Humph, that's what you get for being unmoved by me. I tossed that line out and walked away. As I went downstairs, I ran into Letitia, who looked anxious, as if searching for something. Our eyes met, and for a fleeting moment, guilt flashed in hers. I understood. Of course, Martin only ever let his guard down around her. So what I did just now, did I ruin the male and female leads moment? Chapter 11. Because a short web drama gave me a bit of fame, my agent dragged me to a business party. By the time Lorenzo rushed in to save me, Boss Sue's greasy hand was already on my thigh. The door was kicked open violently. Cold air rushed in, startling everyone in the alcohol-filled room. It was the first time I had seen Lorenzo like this, his brows fierce, his expression terrifying, like he was ready to kill. Who the hell are you? Boss Sue didn't even finish before he was kicked to the ground. Chaos erupted. That old bastard was beaten into a swollen mess, lying on the floor like a dead dog. And him. I pointed at my agent, who was shrinking in the corner, speaking with commanding arrogance. He's the one who called me here. Lorenzo. Young Master Lorenzo. My agent's face was full of despair. In wealthy circles, Lorenzo's name was known by all. Someone you absolutely could not afford to offend. Boss Sue was still wailing on the ground, begging for mercy. I stood up and looked down at him coldly. You're not sorry, you just realized you kicked the wrong person. He was a repeat offender. Who knew how many girls had suffered before me? I lifted my high heel and stomped down hard. Crack. It sounded like something fragile breaking. Ah. The man on the ground let out a horrifying scream. rolled his eyes back, and fainted. Lorenzo looked at me and gave a surprised thumbs up. That ruthless? Aren't you afraid he'll take revenge later? I giggled and threw myself into his arms. With you backing me, of course I'm not afraid. He glanced at me sideways and chuckled. What if we break up someday? I bit my finger and thought seriously for a moment, then asked cautiously, then, is there anyone else in your circle as powerful as you? Lorenzo froze. Then he laughed in disbelief. Grace, you heartless woman, you're already looking for your next option? I replied confidently, that's called keeping backups. He pinched my cheek and pulled it. Say something nicer. Just as we were messing around, I suddenly felt someone watching me. It was Martin. Had he been there the whole time? Our eyes met for a second. Then he looked away as if nothing had happened. Silent from beginning to end, Lorenzo and Martin arranged to play tennis. I went along. Surprisingly, Letitia wasn't there this time. I sat by the court, watching the two of them rally back and forth. One round ended. I immediately brought over water and a towel. Lorenzo took them, lowered his head, and kissed me lightly. Good girl. I felt a gaze land on my back. I looked around, but couldn't find anyone. The second round began. Martin's offense suddenly became aggressive. Smashes, volleys, sharp angles, every move was ruthless. Lorenzo got fired up. What's going on, bro? Did I piss you off? The two of them became competitive, determined to win. Go, Lorenzo! I cheered from the side, bouncing excitedly. There's a reward if you win. Martin's hand slipped. The ball went out. Lorenzo scored the crucial point. I cheered and ran onto the court, jumping up and wrapping my arms around his neck. He caught me, laughing as he spun me around. Out of the corner of my eye, Martin stood alone by the net, his expression slightly cold. During the break, I went to get water. When I turned around, Martin was suddenly standing behind me. He was wearing a white V-neck tennis shirt, the collar slightly open. The sunlight fell across his profile. It was almost unreal how good he looked. He spoke. Do you know Maria? Who? Lorenzo's childhood sweetheart. He stared at me, speaking slowly. She went abroad when she was young. Lorenzo waited for her for many years. I gave a casual "oh," not caring much. He frowned. Do you like him that much? I didn't answer. He spoke again, his tone carrying an inexplicable chill. Grace, your kind of liking is nothing special. Then he turned and walked away. Chapter 12. A prophecy fulfilled. Lorenzo's true love was coming back. He started acting distracted, glued to his phone. Every night, he stood on the balcony smoking, silently. I began counting down the days until I would leave, but when that day really came, I still felt a little regret. After all my effort, I still couldn't replace the woman in his heart. Just who exactly was she? Before this, I had even believed, just a little, that he had been sincere with me. Ah, there it was again, that sting. The day Maria returned, Lorenzo stood me up. His reason was blunt and cruel. On the phone, he let out a soft laugh. She's back. I don't want her to know you exist. Then I'll die for you. I snapped instinctively, making a scene. Sure, I'll collect your body when I get back. He hung up. I stared at the dark screen for a few seconds, stunned. Lorenzo cut things off cleanly, but generously. He left me an apartment, transferred 10 million into my account, then blocked all my contacts and deleted my fingerprints, dragging my suitcase onto the street. I felt a rare moment of confusion. I dialed Martin's number. He picked up instantly. Break up with Letitia and date me, I said concisely. After a pause, I added, I still have your bed photos. You wouldn't want. Okay, Martin answered without hesitation. I'll come pick you up. Stay at my place? Now it was my turn to be surprised. Sitting in his car, I stole a glance at him. Martin held the steering wheel, his profile tense, his expression unreadable. After driving for a while, he finally couldn't hold it in. Bed photos? Oh, I had them edited, I said honestly. The corner of his mouth twitched. I asked again, are you really going to date me? He didn't answer. Originally, I had planned to make an outrageous demand first. expecting him to reject it, then follow up with a more reasonable one. The classic door-in-the-face tactic. I didn't expect him to agree to the first one outright. Was I really this lucky? You promised you owed me a favor, I said, regaining confidence. You can't go back on it. I remember. He kept his eyes on the road. Expression blank. I've already broken up with Letitia. For a moment, my feelings were complicated. I never thought I'd actually succeed, breaking up the male and female leads. Taking her place. A long-held goal fulfilled, yet I felt no joy. Maybe because this relationship came from coercion, I only felt tired. And somewhere inside me lingered the pain of being abruptly discarded. In that moment, I understood him. He must be hurting too. He must hate me. For the first time, I didn't dare to look at Martin. Chapter 13. I realized that Martin is actually serious about being in a relationship. Over the past few months, I came to understand something. What kind of heavenly life Letitia had been living before. Martin is basically the perfect boyfriend template. He makes breakfast every day before work, sets aside time for dates every week without fail, even in bed. He's very attentive and service-oriented. And for some reason, I feel like he might be a bit of a masochist, especially obsessed with me wearing high heels. Could it be that kick last time actually turned him on? He's even more insatiable than Lorenzo. As if once he finally got a taste of it, no, not just a taste. More like he awakened, he couldn't stop. Martin took me to a formal dinner. Only when we arrived did I realize it was the same villa as last time. Turns out, it's Lorenzo's house. No wonder he said he was familiar with the host, because it was his home. Martin told me that today was the official engagement of Lorenzo and Maria. Why are you here? Lorenzo looked at me, a flash of wariness and tension in his eyes. I curled my lips slightly. After not seeing him for days, he looked radiant and full of confidence. Well, it made sense. He was getting engaged to the person he'd been longing for. All the good things had fallen into his lap. This must be Miss Grace. I've heard so much about you. A girl who immediately caught the eye walked up beside Lorenzo. She greeted us with the poise of a hostess, noticing the mole at the tip of her nose. I instantly guessed, Maria. After chatting for a bit, I had to admit that Maria really was exceptional, graceful in speech, elegant in temperament. Just standing there, she made people feel at ease. I suddenly understood why Lorenzo couldn't forget her. Some people, the moment you see them, you just know you can't compete. Throughout the banquet, Martin stayed by my side, taking care of everything, attentive in every possible way. It couldn't have been more high profile. As if he wanted to announce to the whole world that our relationship was anything but ordinary. There were quite a few elders at the banquet. Seeing this, they quickly asked who I was. Martin said, "My girlfriend. Brought her here today so everyone can meet her." Announcing it in front of the older generation, it was formal and very sudden. Crash! The sound of glass shattering came from not far away. I looked up and met Lorenzo's gaze. He was holding a broken wine glass, his expression dark. After coming out of the restroom, I was stopped by Lorenzo. He spoke with difficulty. "You and Martin are together?" I nodded. "Yeah, he even dumped Letitia for me." "What do you want? Don't tell me now that I'm with your brother. You regret it?" I admit, at that moment, I felt a bit of smug satisfaction. Let me tell you, I'm not into that whole realizing too late and chasing after me nonsense. Damn it. Why is it only when I'm with another man that he regrets it? Does my appeal only come from belonging to someone else? But Lorenzo said, "How could he possibly agree to be with you? Did you force him? Did you sleep your way into his bed?" Damn, so I was the joke after all. Turns out he just thought I wasn't good enough for his brother. My silence looked like confirmation to him. He shouted angrily, "Grace, how can you be so shameless? Go to hell." Before I even realized it, I had already slapped him across the face. He froze, then tried to grab me, but Martin blocked him, pulling me into his arms, frowning in displeasure. "Don't lay your hands on your sister-in-law." Lorenzo stared at him, his eyes reddening. Chapter 14. The next second, a punch was thrown. "Damn it. I told you to take care of her, not take care of her into your bed." Martin didn't back down and started fighting him. "Enough," I shouted. "What are you fighting for? Do you really think you're the male leads of some novel? Lorenzo pointed at me, his hand trembling. What? Now you feel sorry for him? So I even gave you a chance to live out your fantasy? Then he pointed at Martin, his voice shaking even more. Didn't you hate her the most? She seduced you and you just went along with it? Are you even still my brother? What the hell are you talking about? Weren't you the one who broke up with me back then? You tossed me aside like trash. And now you're barking like a mad dog? I was speechless. Lorenzo's lips moved, as if he wanted to say something but stopped. Lorenzo. Maria's voice came from not far away. Lorenzo glanced back, then turned to me again. He took a deep breath and lowered his voice. Grace, I'll give you an explanation. It's not what you think. Then, without hesitation, he walked toward Maria. I let out a cold laugh, raised my middle finger at his back, and left with Martin. Explanation? Not a single person cares. Letitia came to my door. She stood there, eyes red and swollen, like she hadn't slept for days. When she saw me, her eyes reddened again. I didn't expect it to be you. It was actually you. I said nothing. She clenched her teeth, her eyes filled with hatred and unwillingness. Grace, you must be very proud. You succeeded. He actually fell in love with a woman like you. That just proves he's nothing special. A man like that, do you think I even care? You just picked up the trash I didn't want. I looked at her and found it almost funny. Who are you trying to fool? Seeing me get humiliated. You were secretly enjoying it all along, weren't you? You looked down on me, hated me, yet you let me get close to your boyfriend. You wanted to watch me make a fool of myself, to use me to make yourself look better. So now that I actually won, you're not happy anymore? The door opened. Martin walked out and stood in front of me. He looked at Letitia, his tone calm and cold. Letitia, I've already said it. I admit I'm a jerk. I changed my mind and fell in love with Grace. This has nothing to do with her. I'm the one who wronged you. You should leave. I've given you the compensation you deserve. Go study abroad. My family will cover all your expenses in Europe. Just don't come back to disturb us. Letitia looked at him in disbelief. Tears streamed down her face. Martin, how could you treat me like this? Martin frowned. The fact that I'm not holding you accountable for what you did is already me showing mercy. She staggered, her face instantly drained of color. She looked at him with overwhelming sorrow. Finally, she gave a pale smile. Martin, I don't want you anymore. With that, she turned and left decisively. I shuddered all over. There it was, the most brutal line in those chasing your ex stories. Don't be fooled by Martin's calm expression. I know how this goes. A few years later, when Letitia makes a glamorous comeback with some young, attractive guy by her side, he'll be filled with regret, kneeling and begging for forgiveness. Even worse, I'll probably be made an example of. Looks like your wife doesn't want you anymore, I said, gloating. He looked down at me, his gaze a little strange. She's not my wife. He paused. You are. Suddenly, he dropped to one knee and took out a small box from his pocket. He opened it, a ring inside. Grace, let's get engaged. Chapter 15. I got engaged to Martin and met both sides of our families. His parents were very open-minded and didn't make things difficult for me. Instead, it was Lorenzo. By the time I heard about him again, he had already broken off his engagement with Maria. Maria had gone abroad again. At first, Martin was very eager to marry me. In the first year, I didn't want to step into the grave of marriage so early, so I refused. In the second year, I was worried he still had Letitia in his heart and feared I'd be settled with after marriage, so I refused. In the third year, I cheated. I cheated with Lorenzo. Over the past few years, my short drama career had taken off. I went from being an actress to becoming a behind-the-scenes investor. Several of the projects I invested in became massive hits. Outside, people now call me Boss Grace. I ran into Lorenzo at a cocktail party. He had lost weight and seemed more composed. Standing in the crowd, he chatted and laughed with others, his gaze occasionally drifting toward me. I couldn't help asking, "Why do you keep looking at me?" He smiled faintly. "If you weren't looking at me, how would you know I'm looking at you?" We had both been drinking. He gave me a ride. And then, One thing led to another, and we ended up in bed. The next morning when I woke up, I saw him lying beside me, half naked, his dark eyes fixed on me without blinking. I forced a laugh. Haha, what does this make us? He answered calmly. Cheating. Damn it. You should have said that earlier. Lorenzo threatened me, if I dared to marry Martin, he would expose everything. So in the 3rd year, I became even more afraid to accept Martin's proposal. The only difference was, after that rejection, Martin stayed silent for a long time. There seemed to be a glimmer of moisture in his dark eyes. I thought maybe I was imagining things. And now, this year, Letitia is coming back. To be honest, I felt relieved. Chapter 16. My thoughts snapped back to the present. I broke free from Lorenzo's arms. You've got someone in your heart too, don't you? I poked his chest. He grabbed my hand. Not anymore. His expression turned serious as he laid his feelings bare. After being with you, I realized what I felt for Maria wasn't love. Maybe admiration. Maybe liking, but more than anything, it was an obsession. I've already let it go. I never loved her. Grace. I only love you. He explained that his situation was different from Martin's. Lorenzo needed a political marriage. There was no way his family would let him marry me. As for Maria, she never liked him before. And she still doesn't now. She doesn't want an arranged marriage. She just wants to pursue her dreams. So they came to an agreement. A fake engagement. Once he took control of the family and could decide his own marriage, he would come back for me. I froze. Then why didn't you tell me? What? You don't have a mouth? Or were you trying to play the silent, suffering lover? He was silent for a moment. With your acting skills, telling you would be no different from telling them directly. Fair enough. Another day of getting roasted for my acting. I shot him a sideways glance. What makes you think I'd wait for you? I mean, didn't I immediately find someone else? His eyes reddened instantly. He clenched his jaw, a flicker of resentment flashing through his gaze. He told me that in the beginning, he had asked Martin to take care of me and keep an eye on me. He thought he understood Martin well. All his life, Martin had been someone with strong moral principles. On top of that, he had clearly shown extreme dislike toward me unless something physical had already happened between us. There was no way he'd take responsibility. So Lorenzo assumed I had stubbornly seduced Martin into bed. He never imagined I would end up becoming his sister-in-law. Nor did he expect that Martin had been planning this all along. He had personally handed his rival the opportunity. That damn jerk had already broken up with Letitia. He's fickle, just a few extra glances at you and he changed his heart. Lorenzo sneered. Grace. Break up with him. We can go back to how things were. Did he forget? I was the one who made the first move on Martin. That just proves he has no self-control. Lorenzo looked disdainful, sparing no effort in tearing down his own cousin. If there's a first time, there'll be a second. A guy like him, morally bankrupt and driven by lust, might cheat again anytime. I'm different. I've only ever loved you from beginning to end. Before I could respond, there was a noise from the entrance. The door opened. Martin walked in, still wearing the gray coat I had picked out for him, looking travel-worn, carrying the chill of the night on his shoulders. His gaze swept over Lorenzo's face, then settled on me. The air fell silent for 3 seconds. Why is he back so early? Wasn't he supposed to be picking up the one he cares about? Haha, honey, I said awkwardly, looking at Martin. Didn't you say you had work tonight and wouldn't be coming back? Wife. He walked over and hugged me first. Lorenzo's company caused me some trouble. I had to stay late to deal with it. His voice gave nothing away. What about Letitia? I asked. A flicker of confusion crossed Martin's eyes before he remembered who I meant. What about her? I fell silent. He didn't press the issue, just kissed my forehead. Then he walked straight toward Lorenzo, who was standing there with a cold smile. Grabbing him by the collar, Martin threw a punch. She's my fiancé now. His eyes were dark and icy. Don't you dare act like a shameless bastard. She was mine to begin with. Mine. Lorenzo threw a punch back, his eyes bloodshot. You have no shame. You stooped so low, always eyeing what belongs to someone else. How pathetic can you get? Chapter 17. Hey, now that's something I don't like hearing. Are you taking a jab at me? Besides, Weren't you just trying to steal him away too? By that logic, none of us are exactly good people. My fiancé and my affair partner were fighting like there was no tomorrow. Every punch landed hard. Both of them ended up bruised and bloodied. Stop it. Stop it. They ignored me. Fine then. I thought about it and decided to imitate Letitia, throwing out a ruthless line, "I don't want either of you anymore." Both of them froze at the same time. They turned to look at me in perfect sync. Their eyes were red. I was startled. That line is that powerful? Wait. Let me sort this out, I said, feeling a bit overwhelmed. Martin thought I couldn't let go of Lorenzo. Lorenzo thought I couldn't let go of Martin. And I thought Martin couldn't let go of Letitia. Hilarious. I plopped down on the couch. What kind of ridiculous melodrama is this? Martin's eyes were red. You were the one who flirted with me first. You have to take responsibility. Wife, don't leave me. Lorenzo choked up. We were this close. Just this close. And then this bastard swooped in and stole everything. He still couldn't get over being cut off like that. She liked me first. She was with me first. My head started to ache. How about this? We all go our separate ways. Cut things off cleanly, then nobody owes anyone anything. No. They spoke in unison. They exchanged a glance. Then, of all things, moved aside and started whispering, discussing something in low voices. What is going on? 5 minutes later, they came back and sat down across from me. They told me their conclusion. One would be the main, the other the secondary, and they'd switch every 3 years. I was dumbfounded. Grace, you've really outdone yourself. If being a gold digger had levels, you'd be the ultimate role model. But then, who goes first? They started arguing again. I leaned back, crossing my legs. Done arguing? They both shut up and looked at me. Good. Now listen. I raised one finger. First, I don't accept a rotation system. I don't run a schedule. Their expressions changed. I raised a second finger. Second, between you two, I choose neither. Martin panicked. Wife. Lorenzo spoke at the same time. Grace. I raised my hand to stop them. Third, I stood up and walked over, looking down at these two so-called elite heirs. From now on, both of you belong to me. They froze. No status, no guarantees, no promises. I said, word by word, when I'm in the mood. You come. When I'm not, you get lost. I curled my lips into a smile. Any objections? No objections. They answered one after the other. Good. I nodded. You two made a mess of my place. Clean it up. Whoever does better gets to stay tonight. With that, I turned and went back to the bedroom. But not long after, the noise started again outside, arguing over the smallest things. Forget it. I closed my eyes and ignored them. As the one benefiting from all this, I might as well stay silent.